there's a the button called recording. This time is being live streamed YouTube or Facebook Live. You're saying this meeting is being live streamed.
Button called recording. Yeah, we do a YouTube live stream now. That way, it records it and posts it to YouTube just in one go. So kind of streamlines the whole process.
Oh.
Yeah, we're getting very advanced with our technology.
Oh, that sounds good too. That's good. Okay, thank you. All right. Oh, yeah, it's the 21st century, right? I think it's good to take advantage of using it for the good, right? Okay, so so we have few new people today online. You can see them, right? See, how can I really pronounce your name? Nati, right?
Nanette.
Nanette, and then again down here, Corinne.
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 Corinne. Okay. Corinne and
Hi,
Nanette.
I'm Corinne.
Corinne, Nanette. Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so yeah. Okay, right. So we all finished our morning meditation, the breathing exercise to settle our mind. When I'm saying settle your mind, our mind and body should be present, not wandering everywhere, right? And of course, it's not easy because the mind just jump here and there, but we have to try, just keep them, be present physically, mentally, and also if possible, verbally, when you're not really, so all the body, speech, and mind be present. That we try to do that at the preliminary meditation, or we call it the meditation. Try to bring our mind inwardly rather than outwardly. All right, and then by doing that, why you're doing that? If our mind is in focus, the subject we are studying, you can learn it very easily, quicker, and you can remember better for the future. You can remember. It's not really in the books or maybe in the computer or in the phone, but try to restore your own mind, right? Try to store you within yourself. That way you can expand our knowledge, you can expand our mindfulness or understanding, and that way we will become happier person, more wise person, right? And yeah, that's the purpose of the beginning meditation, focusing on the object. The focusing on the breath. Bring your mind, keep you within yourself rather than going jumping here and there, right? Of course, it's not easy all the time, but we all try. We have to try repeatedly again and again. If you try again and again, and then there's a point that you just automatically your mind is just focused exactly where what you're doing. We don't have to put much effort. By putting effort repeatedly again and again, and it'll become effortless, meaning you're master. We are all master on meditation, keeping our mind very clear and stable and not wandering everywhere. If our mind wander everywhere, what happen is, our memory skill will become weaker, and our whatever you do, whatever you study, whatever work you do, it won't become as a wish because it's just distract everywhere. Okay, so that's the main purpose of doing the Singapore meditation is make our mind and body suggestible, useful for our practice. The main practice. So we are Lamrim Chimo, the first volume, is huge textbooks, but it's very, very important. Lamrim, I think the new people in Tibetan word Lamrim, which is the gradual path to enlightenment. Okay, the greatest treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment. So for the purpose of the new people who are here, and what is it? It's a it's more like a kind of roadmap to go to become to become one more knowledgeable person or enlightened person or very open-minded person, a more compassionate person, and the best of the best person. In order to able to become that, we need proper map, right? Proper map mean the road. So that when you say the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment. So here the title itself gives very clear picture about how one can train your mind to become fully awakened person, meaning removing all the mental, disturbing mind known as attachment, aversion, and jealousy, and all this, some of these, not helpful, mental factors within ourselves. To rid of them, meaning to remove them, we need a proper path. And all the affliction rooted with ignorance. Ignorance meaning not knowing the reality. So by not knowing the reality, what happened? This this another term, ignorance has many different types of ignorance are there. The main one is called self-grasping ignorance. Maybe if someone of you have new, maybe write down that. What does that mean? Self-grasping ignorance. Self as a self and others. Grasping ignorance. And there's another one, bodhicitta. Okay, Lamrim, the great treatise of the path in the great treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment. It has many different topics to deal with it, but if you summarize, there are three main category. Three. One is known as a renunciation, meaning renounce trivial thing, meaning renounce suffering and then the causes of suffering. Not really renouncing happiness or renouncing virtuous thing or renouncing, life or renouncing, food or shelter. Renounce how do you really renounce? Renouncing, stay away from the negativities. Renouncing means we have to start from how do you really renounce the negativities. Try as much as possible, stay away from the negative attitude of the mind and the action that we are creating by this ignorance and out of ignorance, out of jealousy, out of attachment. Try to stay away from them. If you just try to stay away from them, then there's a way that you could really become, like a fearless person. Meaning, fearless person meaning someone who's really courageous to make change, to bring about, like a very healthy change in society, very healthy improvement, development within your mind and others. All right. So renunciation meaning renounce, the one that you don't want, which is suffering, like a miseries. And then how do you really remove that? By removing the root cause, ignorance, self-grasping ignorance. Self-grasping, without removing self-grasping ignorance, we cannot remove suffering, any form of suffering. So suffering known as, some kind of a unpleasant feeling or contaminated, like a pleasant or the worldly contaminant, sorry, the worldly, pleasures or those that there are layer again. So for beginner, especially very, like ordinary people like us, we are all trying our best to become oneself like a happier person and try to remove some of the negativities. And when you say suffering or suffering change, it called, the suffering of pervasive contingent suffering, because our mind is so kind of childish mental attitude. We all have like very much childish sort of mind, meaning very small happiness, mundane happiness. We are, like clinging to the mundane happiness as a happiness. In reality, it's suffering. In reality, it's bringing more suffering, more complication, more problem. But we are clinging so much. It's like a little bit, really little, like a unmature person, very little baby, or maybe children. Sometimes you could check, like, some children who just are like most of the children, you know what child mean, right? Children meaning those who are not mature, those who are not able to think about far vision, those who cannot really plan well, and something that really bring about long run benefit for oneself and others. And very short-sighted people, very short-sighted, just they see only this around this one, not really that beyond the border of this self. So renunciation, true renunciation, it means it has a deep meaning, but we can start renouncing suffering. Suffering is actually the result of non-virtuous action. You need to know this, okay? Suffering in Lamrim, in the greater treatise on the stage of the path to enlightenment, it has identified, the learner, the subject need to be learned, and then the person who is going to learn, and then the let me see, small scope person, middle scope person, and then greater scope person. It's identified this Lamrim has. Small scope person meaning those who are putting effort to identify, to recognize the suffering as suffering, and then remove the causes of suffering. And the main causes of suffering, of course, everything is rooted ignorance, but the immediate cause that bring suffering, I mean unbearable suffering. For example, like tuberculosis, or painful kind of kidneys. When if someone have like kidney stone, it gets unbearable pain, right? And someone who have to go undergoing like a surgery, it's unbearable suffering, right? These are acute pain. These are known as suffering. And then how to remove these, the suffering, the immediate cause or the main cause is non-virtuous action. Non-virtuous action, for example, killing human being, or killing animal, or torturing other people, or like abusing others, abusing oneself and others, with the like it's not a non-virtuous action. Have you heard that? Non-virtuous action, there are 10 non-virtuous action. By committing the non-virtuous action, it bring us suffering. Those people who are those practitioner, let's say let's put that way, those people, those practitioner, those people who are trying to avoid non-virtuous action because of scare of suffering, because I don't want to suffer like instant pain. I don't want instant pain. And then what do? Avoid the suffering, avoid the causes of suffering. The suffering. The immediate causes of suffering is non-virtuous action. Okay. So do not really commit to the non-virtuous action, by not committing to the non-virtuous action, we won't have the like a suffering. It slowly the suffering will reduce. So those people who are practicing the 10 non-virtuous action, sorry, avoiding the 10 non-virtuous action and then engaging into the 10 virtuous action, those people are known as the middle scope of person who are practicing in the Lamrim text, meaning the graduate, the stages of path to enlightenment. Toward that we have to start, meaning we have to start from the scratch, from the first. So middle small scale person, and then those who are scared of the suffering, and then try to avoid the immediate cause of suffering, which is 10 non-virtuous action. By those people who are try to stay away from this and then try to engage into the 10 virtuous action, they are middle scope person. And by if you are success to doing that, and then you can move to a little more advanced. So the more advanced is not only just scare of the immediate or the main most painful suffering, but the contaminated, the worldly, sorry, the mundane pleasure. All mundane pleasure are known as the suffering. Okay. Have you heard? Some doesn't matter if you are new. Okay, all just get to know all mundane pleasure are suffering of change. It won't stay as you think is like a pleasure. It bring about more suffering. There are many examples given in the mundane pleasure is like a eating like a very, very salty food. Those who are enjoying into the mundane pleasure, it's like eating very, very salty food. What happened if you eat salty food? Listen, this is very important. What happened if you eat very salty food all the time? You get very thirsty. You get thirsty. Okay, so the the mundane had pleasure. It's those who consider it's a pleasure, but in reality it's bring about more suffering, more complication, more pleasure, sorry, more suffering, more conflict, more fight. More what else? So you can have many example. For example, those you have many conflict because of looking something that I think we used the example of eating momo earlier. Have you heard that the momo, if you the strong kind of attachment toward food, or those who are so much attached to what do you call it, cosmetic. Those people who are making makeup, those who are really enjoying to go to movie, or maybe go to gambling place, or like a bar, what do you call it, like where people go to just drink and get drunk and then have all engaging all this wrong thing. I mean, I'm sorry, so it says wrong, but people may not really agree it's a wrong thing. But in reality, we can see this, people go to like a pub, for example, right? What do you call it, pub, right? Where you go and have a drink, and then what happened? Drinking too much, and then you lose your mind, meaning you become, once the person is completely drunk, and all sort of things come up, right? Why they do this? Initially, they think, okay, if I drink, if I take a drug, if I eat this food this much, this with they thinking like it's bring satisfactory or bring happiness, but in reality, it bring more suffering, it bring more, like a complications, more, like a fighting. So all mundane pleasures are known as suffering of change. And for the how can you really avoid that? Then by maintaining proper discipline, okay, moral discipline. This is very important. Do not really commit to the wrong thinking. For example, not stealing, not killing people, not killing animals, not harming others, not lying, not those those like a, it's not as like a principle of human being. If you look at His Holiness the Dalai Lama's commitment, where the number one his commitment is his main vision for the world is promoting human values. So to promote human values, we have to maintain oneself well ethical discipline. So if we maintain ethical discipline, all this like the suffering change will slowly reduce. That way, our mind will toward you know our mind will direct it to find like a proper or long lasting peace, which is known as, we call it nirvana, or a cessation of the suffering. The small scale person, the middle scale person, and greater scale person. So the small scale practitioner who are striving higher rebirth by maintaining on well discipline, by avoiding the 10 non-virtuous action, and engaging into the avoiding the 10 non-virtuous action, and engaging into the 10 virtuous action. Our result we will be reborn into like a higher realms. And sorry, yes, higher realm meanings human, gods, and demigods. When you could look at the samsara, okay, in Buddhist or the classical text, when it mentioned about the sentient beings or beings, whoever have life, whoever can breathe, whoever can have mind. Mind is a very important one thing. Not plants are not my plants are plants have life, but plants don't have mind. Don't argue with me that. I'm sorry. Plants, flowers, trees, it may have life, but it, they don't have mind. But sentient being, sentient being have mind. So that's the most important. I'm not saying I'm not arguing with me, meaning you can argue why not. You can do a lot of research about that, whether plants are living or not. And some say yes, some say no. It doesn't matter whether it's a plant is but plants plants are living, but plants doesn't have kind of ability to think about what is right and what is wrong. So those beings who have mind, the consciousness, awareness, the mind is known as mind. I think we study a little bit with the psychology, right? I mean, the psychology. Yeah, I think we study a little bit, I think last year, but maybe we have new people, sorry. So mind and the body, we have got the mind and body. So out of two, our training should be focused more on the mind rather than the body. If we train our mind well, our body will follow automatically. So that's why I'm saying like the plants are not really sentient, but the minds. So if you engage into the virtuous action, engaging into generosity, and engaging into the ethical discipline, and our life will be it's known as a higher rebirth. So I'm not convincing, I'm not asking you have to believe into the rebirth system. It doesn't matter. If you maintain on ethical discipline, we can tell that we are getting happier person, we get a more like a relaxed person, more patient person. That's really something is obvious. But the three practitioner known as middle skill practitioner, small skill practitioner, and the middle skill practitioner, and then the grade school practitioner. Small skill practitioner engaging into the virtuous action to get higher rebirth, meaning human god and goddesses rebirth. And then the middle one, even the human, human is also like in cycle existence. We wanted to away from that. Okay. And what does that mean? We want to rid of the root causes of suffering, which is ignorance, self-grasping ignorance, and to remove that. For that, we need to light the wisdom, the light of sharpening our wisdom to see the reality, how we are cleaning oneself as something so solid, something here, which is misconceiving, misconceiving. We are we have so many misperceptions there. So these ignorance need to be rid of. So to free from, like if to remove all the affliction and then endow to all the qualities of the opposite of the, like a what is that? It's in Buddhist classical text, it's known as liberation. So liberation means liberate yourself from ignorance, liberate yourself from attachment, liberate yourself from jealousy, liberate yourself from contaminated karma. That's liberation. Okay. And if you're liberated from that, those who are striving, those who are trying to follow this path, is known as like a middle school practitioner. And then, it's also known as a personal liberation. Personal liberation. I want to free from. I want to free from the causes. Sorry, I wanted to free from suffering and the causes of suffering. It's known as like personal liberation. Liberate oneself from the cycle existence or the samsara, and then the causes of samsara. Okay. So those people who are practicing and is putting effort to practice in this path is known as a middle school practitioner. And then if just one person like is liberated from this, like a getting freedom is not enough, because all other beings are also same as us, who are seeking happiness and complete peace. So it's, being just selfish is not right thing to do. And then those people who think, okay, I want to free all beings from this suffering and the causes of suffering. So those who are thinking others' welfare instead of self, practicing the bodhicitta, okay? Renunciation, wisdom, emptiness, and bodhicitta. It's not a bodhicitta. Bodhicitta means altruistic mind. Yes, oneself is free from the suffering and the causes of suffering is very important. But just, one person is freeing from the suffering and the causes of suffering is not enough, because all other beings are like your mothers. They're all seeking complete peace and long lasting happiness if possible. I should, I shouldn't be like a selfish person. I should be more like a generous person. I should be more responsible person. I should be more helpful person others. And I should have, our mind should be a little, wider, more generous, more, far vision person. And those who are, try to follow this path is not as great, the great path, small path, middle path, and the great path. The great path, if possible, we all should become bodhisattvas. Have you heard this bodhisattvas? Some of you are new and some are, or, like maybe you have heard. Bodhisattva practice, those who are, seeking, those who have far vision, very responsible person, at the same, like a responsible, far vision, putting others in your own shoe, meaning Yes, if we think others, if you actually respect others, if you really serve others, our own benefit automatically fulfilled. This is quite, clear, but we really need to train in this way. Where otherwise, you won't come automatically. So because of that, we are all human beings. you know, if you think about the larger category, all sentient beings, even cats and dogs, they are all seeking happiness and happiness and peace. But cat and dogs may have little, their mind is slightly different, but human beings have very marvelous mind. We can make change. We really can make a lot of changes for ourselves and others. So because of that, the highest level, if possible, the third level of the practice, which is bodhicitta, is hard practice. Bodhicitta is a hard practice in the Lamrim. We have many volumes and volumes teachings are there, but the essence the essence of the Lamrim teaching, the essence of the stage of the path to enlightenment is renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom emptiness. So these three need to keep in your mind, keep, just renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom and emptiness. Keep your mind and think about what does that mean, and how can whether it's possible for me to, really, like follow this kind of this path. Definitely, yes. Why not? When we say renunciation, it doesn't mean we are not really Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are not telling us to renounce yourself or renounce your own welfare. You have to be really. His Holiness the Dalai Lama often says, "Be wise selfish." Have you heard that? There's nothing wrong to be selfish. Sorry, wise selfish. There's nothing wrong to be wise selfish, wise. But stupid selfish is dangerous. Do you agree with that, what I'm saying? Anybody have any why I'm saying that, like, stupid selfish? Can someone have answer with some kind of example of stupid selfish and why selfish? If anybody have any example, I mean, you don't have to pinpoint any individual name or anything. You can just say, if we engage into this kind of action, we are stupid, like a selfish. And if you engage into this kind of a, like a this kind of live the life, this kind of lifestyle, and more responsible, like that's like a skillful or a wise selfish. So anybody have any example? I would love to hear, and I would love to listen to you as well, because it's a platform that we are just learning each other, and for that it's really good to have like interaction, to listen each other. So sitting together and learning each other is very important. So we can learn so many from many different people. The teacher not necessarily have to someone who is sitting on the throne, someone who is wearing special kind of dress, or maybe not necessarily shave here hair, but it's, yes, monks and nuns shave our hair. We have to maintain, like our own kind of lifestyle. But there are many good teachers who are hiding sometimes because they keep very low profile, but they do what they're supposed to do. They really serve the sentient being. They really serve, many different ways, directly, indirectly. So because of the Buddhist teaching or the Lamrim teaching, like showing anger or abusing other people or other sentient beings is very weak. If you abuse other people, if you really look down others, you are really breaking you are actually abusing oneself. These are all none in this many of the teaching, have mentioned. So anybody have any example of, like, stupid selfish and wise selfish? Take your time, and you can say whatever what exactly you think.
It's stupid selfish not thinking of an impact
on your selfishness on other, on the, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you say once again?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I
is
can hear.
stupid selfish a selfish act or selfish thought without thinking of an impact on others around?
Uh,
And
that's
a wise selfish would be something that is for the self, but again, aware of the impact of those around.
that's wonderful. Thank you. Good. Christopher, right? I'm sorry.
Yes,
Thank you so
yes.
much. That's
Thank you.
beautiful. Thank you. So okay, now Nati, right?
Nanette.
Nanette. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Nanette.
that's okay.
Yes.
I'm thinking that a wise selfish would characterize the people who don't necessarily take a lot of time and thought to join political action activities, social justice work, but who decide that this is a time when they must, because by making myself uncomfortable, by going out and protesting or writing letters or making phone calls to politicians, I may be taking myself out of my comfort zone because I believe in the greater good for our society.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So is that's wise selfish or stupid selfish? I'm sorry.
That's
I
wise
didn't.
selfish. That would be wise
Oh,
selfish
okay.
because you're not doing it just for you. You're doing it for the
I see.
betterment of all.
Oh,
And
I
and
see. I see. I
and
see.
an example of the stupid would be those people who maintain that I've got to look out for number one. You know, I have to look out for
Uh,
myself. If I don't do it,
ah,
nobody will.
I see.
I look
Yeah,
at it
okay. Uh-huh. Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
look at it
Yes.
very I look at it very differently. And so I would say stupid selfish is greediness, whereas wise selfishness is self-care and taking care of oneself, setting healthy boundaries, engaging in forms of replenishing oneself, even
Mm.
when we've been taught that other people should be the priority.
Other people is more like top priority, and then okay, that's good.
And so
Right.
taking care of oneself, even if it means not doing something for someone else in the moment, we need that
Mm.
break. We need that
Mm.
boundary.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you mean by boundary?
Sometimes there are situations people
Mm.
ask for help
Right.
and it wouldn't help them and it would be a lose-lose situation despite the person not necessarily understanding in the moment. And I'm thinking of the situation where maybe there is a person that doesn't make wise choices with money, that asks for
I see.
money. And
Right.
and
Right.
that
Right. Right.
they
Right.
wouldn't spend money on a way that would help themselves and would perhaps spend money that would hurt themselves.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yes. Be generous, but very wise generous, right? That's what I think your point is that's really important, right? Especially, if you're giving the money and then the person you use it for a wrong thing, for maybe buying drug or maybe buying weapon or self hurting oneself and others. That's yeah, wrong. Like I said, stupid selfish. I mean, it's ignorance is with it, but it won't get kind of a like a positive impact for oneself and others, right? So why selfish is meaning whether you're giving, whether you're practicing, like ethical discipline, or whether you're, whatever practice you are doing is something that impact good, good outcome. And then somewhere when one may ask, so what do you mean by good and what do you mean bad? So we have to make the wise decision, right? wise decision also is a relative term, definitely. But as a human being, our mind has a capacity to make the right decision and try not make the wrong decision. So what you say about earlier? Not you. What is your name? Earlier, not friend names. You're 12 here.
Pardon? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Your name?
Nanette.
Nanette. So Nanette, okay, you're saying like I'm taking myself from my comfort zone. Oh, you're saying you're going to the protest or something like that, right?
Just as one example.
One example, yeah. What you're saying is, I guess it's a certain point you have to do some protests if you're really realizing some of policies, some of the things that's going really wrong. If your motivation is to benefit for long run for larger people or larger society or larger community, and there's nothing wrong to do the protest, but peaceful all the time.
Always
Peaceful, and the motivation is always should be like a peaceful, and then the motivation is for benefit long run rather than the short term. And so why that's there's why selfish, definitely. Yes, I would say that's why selfish. Why not? Because if you did not really go participate this, maybe you're not taking responsibility for your own society, and we are not really taking responsibility our future, right? So that's also good example, I think. So anyone else?
Yeah,
Yes.
I connected to Nanet's point here. Actually, I'm part of a union in where I work at school, and you get like a couple different responses when you're talking to people about like being part of the union or like coming to meetings and like getting involved or like signing up. You get the people who are like, oh yeah, we're so glad that we have a union, but I'm not going to do anything. I'm not interested in actually helping support this or keep it going or make sure that it's running, right? To me, that's like a form of stupid selfishness, right? Like they're happy to get the benefits of a union, but they're not willing to kind of take care of that enterprise. There's the other way of looking at the union, which is like, oh yeah, this is really good for me. I should make sure that this keeps going and that we can actually multiply the benefits of having a strong union. So it's like there's that difference of view where it's just like, yeah, if you're really looking out for yourself, it's in your interest to have a strong union. Kishima, are you familiar with unions? This word union
union it's an association or something. I mean, union of
like labor organizations, labor unions.
You have the union of the university. You have the different levels union, right?
Yeah, different kinds of unions, like a teachers union, faculty union, graduate union, other staff union. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm familiar with that. Yes.
Yeah.
So participate the union is important. That what you're saying, right?
Yeah. That you get these different responses of people who, like selfishly, in like kind of this greedy way, just oh, I'm not going to do anything. I can just be part. Why would I join the union? I don't have to. I can just get the benefits. And then you get the other people who are like, oh, actually, it would be more beneficial if I really put some work into this union, in a way that's serving oneself, like the union. It's good. It's good for your own self, but it's also good for other people, right? To be participating and to grow the union. Yeah.
Right. Being part of the union is you have to take a responsibility, right? Otherwise, doesn't make any sense to be part of the union. Just be part of the union, doing nothing, taking the advantage. That's selfish, right? And be part of the union and then take responsible, get involved, serve for the union, and with the selflessly, meaning if you serve that, you get the benefit, and then the union get benefit. This is actually really important. It's putting like a collective effort, right, to make it a good change, to bring about like a good impact, positive impact into the society. Be part of the union, be part of faculty union, be part of the community, be part of that, and at the same time bring some like positive outcome into the society. This is a really good putting that like what do you call it, collective effort. So yeah, that's a really good, being part of the union and being part of the monastery, being part of the center, be member of this union or be member of this center, meaning you take some responsibility for the society. If you're not really taking any responsibility, just being selfish, taking that advantage and doing not just just taking but not giving, it's a selfish, stupid, selfish, right? And yes, of course, you get the benefit and also you take the responsibility. That's a win-win situation. That's very important thing. That's good. Yes. So who else? We have a Scout now. Scout and Cynthia. I'm saying it's the right name.
Actually, I was thinking the same thing that Corinne said, really, is that, I have to take time to be wisely selfish, to take care of myself, to do time for meditation, and for me time for exercise. Because if I don't have the right mental health and emotional state, then I can't help others. So I have to start with those things and say, I'm carving out that time for myself so that I can be a productive member of society, so that I can take time to help others in the right frame of mind. Because if I'm scattered and doing things even for others, but I don't have the right mindset, then I won't do them productively, and I won't do them, kindly necessarily, or I'll be doing them because I'm forced to, not because I want to. So, I agree that I liked her example. It's that kind of the same, initiation. I have to start with that to be selfish for myself.
Yes, wisely ones. That's really important. Exactly. As Scott said, that's very important, because if you are not if you're not able to take care of yourself, there's nothing. Maybe there's it's really difficult to take care of others, right? So because of that, first take care of yourself, but wisely. Meaning, take care of yourself. It doesn't mean like you're selfish. We need your good health. You have to have your like a good mental health and health, like your physical health, and then the environment or their capacity or their resources. You should have first place. We have to have it. Otherwise, what do you give? If you don't have the resources, there's nothing you can give. So because of that, taking care of health, taking care of your mental health, and meditation, exactly, very important to settle your own mind, make yourself like a more healthy mind, healthy body. And if we are able to keep healthy mind and healthy body, then you can do more for others. For whatever lifespan we have, we can do a lot for others as well as other oneself. That's very important. Good, thank you. So anyone else? I think we all there's Corinne is Corinne and Luis. Oh, you're two of them. I see. There's two different windows at that. Otherwise, okay, cool. All right. So thank you. Oh yeah, I was just saying about Lamrim. The three different, like a practice of the Lamrim. It says small scope, middle scope, and the great scope. And what does it mean by middle scope? Reframing this non-virtuous action, meaning negative action of the body, speech, and mind, and seeking freedom from them, middle scope practitioner. Small scope practitioner. And then those who are, even the, like contaminated virtues, the positive, the contaminative, contaminated meanings it's something, it's not really long lasting happiness or the peace that bring, but how could I say? those who are seeking higher rebirth, like human gods and goddesses, but not really removing the root causes of the cycle existence, which is ignorance. And that's not really long lasting, but we need some, more time to, understand this one. For that, I think we have to study the 12th link of dependent origination, Four Noble Truths. These are the very important thing. But in the Lamdam teaching, known as a three level of training or renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom emptiness. These two, three things are there. These are very important to understand. And I was just, I mean, I don't have, we have only 2 more sessions to come, and that's why I'm not really going the Lamrim text, page by page, and I'm just trying to get the kind of essence and make it more like kind of, like a lecture sort of format. That's why I'm just saying that. Okay. And 1 minute, I need to just give one thing about Lama Tsongkhapa's teaching. Okay. So the stage of the path to enlightenment, or the great treatise of the stage of the path to enlightenment by Lama Tsongkhapa. So Lama Tsongkhapa, I think that we have 3 of you are new, right? So who was Lama Tsongkhapa? Is a great sage of a practitioner from 13th century, and who live with a compassion, loving kindness, bodhicitta, to benefit others, meditating oneself perfectly, and then setting as a best role model for others. So that was him, and he have composed many scriptures that help many people to to train our mind toward the perfection, right? So it's a Lama Tsongkhapa it's a Tibetan great scholar, a practitioner, and the teaching, the textbooks that he has written are all commentary of the ancient Indian Nalanda masters and the Buddha's teaching. It's the authentic teaching, meaning the lineage, the source are coming from, this teaching orally transmitted, and then also the realization, experiential teaching. These are passed from generation to generation and still very much, relevant. And there are many beings that live with these teachings, have so much for them. So, and what is that? The quality of the Lama Tsongkhapa's teaching is known as, in Tibetan, it's, it's another way is to summarize Lama Tsongkhapa teaching is, the 3 principal aspects of the path that I mentioned earlier: renunciation, bodhicitta, and then wisdom and emptiness. And then another way that summarizes, he encouraged people to study vastly. At the beginning, it said the first receive teaching. Receive meaning you don't have to necessarily go to person to listen. There's a way that you can learn from books as well. Okay. But if possible, it's good to have someone who can explain this meaning. It's number 1, what he encouraged is study vastly. Study, like a listening, studying, never contain with that. For ordinary people, for beginner people, you need to listen again and again, repeatedly again and again about what does it mean by renunciation? What does it mean by compassion? What does it mean by, true wisdom that really, remove our ignorance? So three of these, you need to repeatedly again and again listen, read, and then just listening is not enough. It's also reflection, meditate, reflect. It's not like a 3 wisdom. It's known as a 3 wisdom. Wisdom drives through learning or studying. And another one is a wisdom drives through reflecting. And then wisdom drives through meditation. So the meditation will be the third one. It will come a little later. It will take time. But when it says first, Lama Tsongkhapa's encourage people learn vastly and extensively. So no matter how long it will take. And then in the middle, what you need to do is, whatever the teachings that he have given, you just understand them is like special, like an instruction for us. To this special instruction, meaning how can you make that is part of your practice, part of your path. Part of your path means our path of your mind, roadmap, right? Special whatever the 11th teachings are giving is for me to transform my mental attitude. You need to have this kind of wisdom that this is for me to remove my ignorance, my jealousy, my attachment, my negativities. The teaching is for me, not really someone else. So you have to understand the teaching is someone is particularly intended to me to remove my affliction or my mental illnesses. That's this is the second. And then the third, I think, what did he say here? First, they receive vast and extensive learnings. Middle, scripture and treatise arose as a fifth instruction. Have you heard that? All scripture, the Buddha's teaching have so many teachings are there. If you are listening the teaching on renunciation meaning renounce the suffering and the causes of suffering, just listening, just hearing that, it's just renouncing renouncing suffering and the suffering and the causes of suffering only for one individual person is not enough. I should renounce for all others suffering and the causes of suffering too. So that to renouncing oneself suffering and the causes of suffering is not a renunciation, personal liberation. If you just make the opposite the motivation, renounce the compassion. Okay, let's see that. Compassion and renunciation. Renunciation is you feel like the suffering of yourself, you're afraid of so much with your suffering and your causes of suffering, and I want to free for that. That's known as like a renunciation. And then the other way, looking others suffering, when other people are suffering, when we are seeing other beings are undergoing so difficulties, switch that to the others, and the mind that arouse like I wish others free from suffering is compassion. Same, I don't want the suffering because of I need to remove my the causes that bring me suffering. I want to remove that. That's a renunciation. And then when you're looking at others suffering and wish others free from the suffering and the causes of suffering, that's compassion. If you train that again and again and again, then true altruistic mind or the bodhicitta will arouse, right? Meaning will be generated within your mind stream. And that's why vast learning, and then just listening one teaching, we can have the mind, the brilliant mind that it's applicable to practice this instruction, just one line, renunciation. When you say renunciation, I renounce myself from suffering, but not just personal, just one single person or personal liberation, not enough, but others also need to be removed from the suffering and the causes of suffering. If you are able to understand this openly, this kind of thing in like let me see how can I explain. Does it make sense for you? So Lama Tsongkhapa's teaching is very, it has the heaviness of the teaching. Meaning heaviness doesn't mean like a abstract thing, but it's something very practical, but it's applicable for in any situation. So because of that, the three main practice, renunciation, bodhicitta, and wisdom emptiness, it's just, if you are able to practice bodhicitta, you automatically are able to practice the wisdom emptiness and then the renunciation. You cannot just leave just one, just pick up one and then leave the rest. This kind of mind you could this kind of mind that you have, this very, very, very skilled teacher. That's why it's, Lama Tsongkhapa is known as like, there's a book called, if you are interested to learn about his biography are very good to read. So if you read the biography, we will be able to adapt this kind of lifestyle. So here many biographies are there. There's one biography that published very recently, I think 2019. It's known The Buddha in Land of Snow. And I think it's available on Amazon with some publication. The Buddha in the Land of Snow. It's a modern way of, I think it's a modern way of, I think the author was His Holiness the Dalai Lama's English translator, Thupten Jimbala. Many of you know, right? Maybe you know. He wrote that book. I think he translated some of his biography from Tibetan source and put into English. And the title is given is that the Buddha is Land of Snow. The Buddha in the Land of Snow. So, and if any of you have interest to read, you can read those. By reading them, you can really take, there's a lot that you can take with you. All right. Oh, okay. I think we are already time's over, and thank you so much for coming. I think we enjoyed a little bit today, and so we will continue to, how far we can go. And the main thing is, by practicing, by meditating, by listening, make sure that oneself is getting happier and happier person, more relaxed and more calm person. And that way you can serve others. As God say, first you need to take care of yourself. But that doesn't mean selfish. It may have a little bit, it's why selfish. And all of you express about that. That's very important, very important. You have to take care of yourself. And when you are able to stand oneself, and then we can share our experience with others. So don't forget to smile genuinely and live happily. Okay, so let's take a moment to dedicate that we discuss few things, how to become oneself happier and more responsible person. And dedicate meaning it's put into, like a deposit into the bank, something like that. Deposit in your heart, not really living away. Live with it. So to dedicate that for the, bring about peace and happiness for oneself and others. And then all those who are engaging into, like a virtuous action or positive action, those who are putting, those leaders or the teachers or responsible people around the world in the spiritual tradition, spiritual leaders, or people who are really putting others in their own shoes, leave them very long and fulfill their wish, without much obstacle. Okay, so thank you so much for everyone and have a good day.
Thank you, Geshima.
Thank you, Geshima.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So those who are at Force of Wisdom, enjoy your tea, and those online, enjoy your days. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.